Linda.
I'm Vicki.
I'm Marjorie.
I'm Elder Keith.
And we are Partners in Crime. So we're all back together, yay! And we are going to do a Lori Vallow update and a couple of other things we're going to discuss as well. So we do have wine, so we will do a wine segment today. And who wants to talk about the wine?
I guess I will. Because I'm dying to take a sip. But anyway, it is a Yellowtail Sauvignon Blanc. And, Yellowtail, as Keith will tell you, is a good...
My favorite.
It's his favorite. It's a good wine, and it's an Aussie wine.
Yes.
And it's a nice bottle.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
So we thought we would try this today, and we'll let you know how it is.
Okay, grab your glasses. We have it already poured out.
Here's yours.
I'll get a big one.
Yeah, get the big
Thank
one.
you.
All right, cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Cheers. Partners in crime.
Yep. I love the Sauvignon Blanc.
Very good.
Yeah. It's very crisp and
Crisp.
and good.
That's a good word to describe it.
Yeah, definitely something that would be great in the spring and summer too, when you're outside just entertaining or sitting around the pool. It's a really good wine, I would say, to do. Yeah.
All right.
Everybody likes it?
Everybody
Thumbs
likes
up?
I like it.
All right, we're good. So I was watching, actually listening, it's on YouTube, but I was listening to We Saw the Devil. They did an update on January 14th about the case. And I just want to give you some tidbits as far as the information they provided that I thought what might be pretty interesting. So the one thing, when people have attorneys that have to defend them, obviously it costs a lot of money and they have to do a lot of work. Apparently Chad has given John Pryor, who is his attorney, his home for his legal fees in a quick claim deed.
Wow.
Yeah, so which isn't out of the question that this is happening with other defendants and stuff. So he does have about $130,000 left from Tammy's life insurance. He had $400,000 that he got for the life insurance. And, this case has been going on. I forget when they actually were put in jail.
She was put in jail prior to him being put in jail.
Right.
It was last year in the fall. Last year, right?
I think she was, but when they uncovered the bodies in Chad's backyard, I think it was in June.
Yeah.
That's when he was arrested.
That's a lot of time, a lot of court appearances, a lot of legwork and, that sort of thing. So it's definitely going to be a lot of money. And so far he had $400,000. There's only $130,000 left from when they said, I don't even know when that was left. It might be all gone by now. And then you have continuing the trial coming up and all that kind of stuff. So this is basically what happens. They did say, though, if Chad is responsible for Tammy's death, that where that money will come from, because he wouldn't be able to get the house or get the proceeds from the house because he did kill his spouse, if that's comes to pass.
Wow.
And they were also talking about, if the case becomes a capital case, John Pryor and Mark Means aren't really qualified to defend Lori and Chad. So they will probably be given a public defender, at that point.
Oh, for sure, when the money runs out, that's what will happen.
Yeah. Well, not even that, just because they are not... they're not experienced enough to defend them for a capital murder case or whatever
Even John Pryor.
Yes. Yeah,
Right.
that's what they were saying.
Because now they're just being tried with child abandonment, right?
Yeah.
That's the main
For
thing.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the conspiracy to conceal the bodies and
Right.
That's also part of the charge.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Garrett Smith, who is a lawyer, he's actually Zulema's lawyer, and we're going to talk about Zulema. And he's actually Summer Shiflett's lawyer, who is Lori's sister. And he sent the recording that we all know, well, not all of us, but a lot of us know about, to the recording of Ron Woods talking to Summer about the case, Lori's case. And he's the one that actually gave it to John Pryor and Mark Means. And then we had a hearing earlier, I guess in January, just last month, about taking Rob Wood, the prosecutor, off of the case because of this tape. The judge did find that there was no merit to this, and Rob Wood is still on the case. In the recording, Rob does tell Summer that there will be conspiracy to commit murder charges again. There will be, I apologize, there will be conspiracy to commit murder charges against Chad and Lori. He did say the case against Lori is stronger. So he's trying to talk to her sister. We'll talk about what we think the reasoning is for him to talk to her about that kind of thing. Summer did ask Rob Wood if the death penalty would be put on the table, and Rob Wood said, "I hope not." So that's getting her sister's gears moving, like, oh no, is she in for the death penalty? Rob also said that once they file further charges, Chad and Lori would be appointed a public defender since their lawyers aren't qualified. So he even told Summer that as well. Okay, Rob Wood said to Summer that they had Lori almost ready to talk, but that Chad talked her out of it.
Yeah,
so that was also in the tape. Judge Stephen Boyce found that there was nothing on the tape that Rob Wood did that should take him off the case when Chad, like we said, Chad and Lori filed these motions and they had the hearing last month. He did order that prior to calling Summer Shiflett as a witness at trial, they will be ordered to have a pre-trial hearing before she is brought to trial. So before the trial starts, before they can have Summer come in as a witness, they have to have a pre-hearing trial.
They say why?
No, I guess it's just something that, I guess, to make sure that she would be a good witness, or I really don't understand that, but we can look into that.
Unless it has to do with what happened with the tape, what happened with trying to remove Woods from the case and some of the conversation they had.
It could be.
Because they can't do that with every witness.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So this is a specific case that they want to make sure, I guess, because if they're going to put her on the witness stand, they want to make sure, I guess maybe it's credible to see if she's talked to Lori. I really couldn't tell you because I'm not a lawyer, but I just found that interesting that they were doing that. Now, as far as Zulema, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, but there was some stuff that I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. Garrett Smith, again, who is her attorney and Summer Shiflett's, said that Zulema had an immunity agreement in exchange for her testimony. And they also said joint immunity. This is what the We Saw the Devil said. Joint immunity agreement could have been done for Arizona and Idaho. So it's not necessarily just for Idaho. It could be for both places. But that says a lot as far as they are concerned. And I would say, as far as I'm concerned, that she must know something. If she said, I want immunity for my testimony, yeah. So we'll wait to see what happens with that. Melanie Gibb, they were also talking about Melanie Gibb, how she was a star witness for the preliminary hearing and that sort of thing to make sure that they could bring this to trial. They don't think that she has an immunity agreement, and she might not be a very good witness anyway because they know that she has lied in the past. So she might not be someone that they want to put on the stand. She was good to get them, to bring them to trial, but as far as having her as a witness at the big trial, they might not want
Pryor's
her.
gonna really let
Shoot her down.
Yeah, he's gonna
or
have
he can.
a field day with her.
Yeah. When Justin Lum, who is a reporter in Arizona in the Phoenix area, he's great. I love watching his stuff, his reports, and then he tweets about things too. That after Alex died, Zulema was questioned by the police, and she immediately asked if she was a suspect. So that's kind of, well, she must know a lot to think, oh my God, they might look at me. You know what I mean?
I think she had some legal problems in the past.
You think?
Yeah, I did. I heard.
Oh, she
that.
has had. Okay.
She has had, but I don't know exactly what they were. But
Okay.
it may have even been some jail time.
Okay.
So that may be why she's concerned about being a suspect.
Okay. Because of her past. December 12th was when Alex died. He was having problems with breathing days before, but he told Zulema that he was feeling fine that day, and that's why she went to work. It was reported that later that day, Alex had a friend call him, and he gave him a blessing over the phone. In the filings and in the paperwork, the name was redacted, but East Idaho News did find out that from multiple sources, that person giving the blessing was actually Chad. Yep. He texted Zulema after he talked to Alex and told her to go check on him since he wasn't doing well. When the officer questioned Zulema about Alex's family, she said, and these were the initial questions that they were asking her, she said she knew that there were 6 siblings, but that he didn't speak to them very much. She admitted knowing Lori, but that she had only met her a few times when she lived in Arizona. And before she moved to Idaho, she also said that she thought Lori's phone number was disconnected because she texted her and it didn't go through. She also said that she didn't believe that Lori was married. Okay. Zulema also said that Alex went to Mexico on December 7th to get prescriptions since they're cheaper there. What he got, we don't know. If they were prescriptions, if they were something else, we just don't know that.
One was for her.
Okay.
But I'm sure she knows what that is.
Right. They did speak with her daughter, Kara. Kara came over to the house after all of this happened because her son Joseph was the one that found him. So he called Kara to say, this is what's going on, and Kara came over to the house. Kara said she didn't want to get to know Alex since she knew about Alex and that they were engaged, but she didn't really want to get to know him because in the past, Zulema had a history of meeting men, having them move in soon after, and she just was done with it. She didn't want to deal with this anymore. She knew that Alex was very religious and that her mom was good friends with Lori, although Zulema said that she didn't really know her very well. And that her and Lori went to the same LDS church. So she described them both as preppers, and her relationship with Lori was how she actually met Alex. So for her to say, I didn't really know Lori, but yet she marries his brother, that doesn't make sense. Initially, Zulema was going to move to Idaho to be with Alex, but then Alex abruptly turned around and said no, he was going to move to Arizona to be with Zulema. Kara doesn't know any of Lori's other family members. One thing, Detective Pilar, who was working in Arizona on the case, went over to Zulema's house to check on them a few days later, and he spoke with her in his car. She gave him the same story that she gave him initially, but then the interview ended suddenly when she got a call from her son-in-law. And he told her to stop talking. So she said she wanted counsel at that point. They went back in the house, and then Detective Pilar gave her the search warrant for the home. And they did say they did take some stuff out of the home. One big thing was a cell phone that they took out. So we don't really know what those items were or what was on the cell phone, or even if they did just take information off of the cell phone. So yeah, a lot of this stuff was just very interesting when I was listening to the podcast, and these were things that I didn't know about Had any of you heard of any of that?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
And just to catch everybody up, if you don't know who Zulema is,
I apologize, yeah.
that's, we just go on.
I know,
We think
because we all
everybody
know it.
knows.
Yeah, there's a lot of names and there's a lot of people, a lot of
Yeah.
characters that
Right. No,
Right.
thanks.
on the
Vicky.
fringes of this thing.
That's
yeah.
right.
Explain who
And
she
Zulema is Alex's, and Alex is Lori's brother, who is deceased. Zulema is his wife, and they married pretty quickly after knowing each other. It was just a couple weeks, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, because Alex died in her home, Zulema is being questioned.
Mm-hmm.
And like Linda said, she's got an immunity agreement. That's
Yes.
amazing. So
Yes.
there's something that she knows
Right.
for them to do that.
Right. Yeah,
And
that would be the only
Zulema is
reason.
also involved in the, LDS Doomsday.
The preppers.
They had their
call them.
podcast. She was on the
Mhm.
podcast.
Yeah.
I think she had her own She had her own
Right.
channel,
Right.
right? Where
Okay.
I don't know if it was a YouTube channel, podcast, where she would, talk about her religious beliefs and,
Right. So
spiritual gifts and seeing things, right? They were
Yeah.
all. That's the common thread in most of these people, right?
right, and
Yeah.
so she's more involved with them than she led on to be.
Yeah.
When she was being questioned
Mm-hmm.
at that time.
Yep. Yep.
So it's also interesting. So what a cast of characters in this whole case.
Mm-hmm.
We do know. Should I go on now?
Yes. So Vicky's going to give you some more updates.
I'm talking about the fact that Tammy Daybell's autopsy finally came back.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of questions around that too, because the sheriff in Fremont County,
Mm-hmm.
Idaho, said yes, the autopsy came back. They have it in their possession, and they're not going to release the findings
Just yet. Yeah.
just yet. Now, we can speculate a lot of things about that comment.
Mm-hmm.
But first of all, the Attorney General of Idaho had been given the case because at the time Fremont needed help with it. So they took over the case. They had ordered the autopsy. They did all of that. And now that there's a new DA, a newly elected DA in Fremont County, she wants the case back.
Right.
So they did. They gave her the case and they said they're relinquishing all and any authority they have over it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is back in Fremont County. All the responsibility falls to them now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to Scott Reich, and he was saying, well, maybe, this new DA wants to make a name for herself, so
That's
she wants the
quite
case
possible.
back.
Yeah.
Or, maybe the fact that they're not releasing the findings could mean a couple things. One, they didn't find anything, but they're using it as a ploy to try to get Chad
Mm-hmm.
a little nervous so that he starts talking. So
Okay.
they're not releasing any information. Or they did say that they're not releasing it because it's evidence in an ongoing investigation.
That makes sense.
So if it's evidence, to me that means there's something in there that they're going to use.
Right.
So, we just don't know. We don't know. And and the other thing is, if they didn't find anything, why wouldn't they just come out and say?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what everybody's
Why
speculating.
didn't they say,
Because they did that for Joseph Ryan when
Yeah.
his was done. They come out pretty quickly
Yeah.
saying that there
Yeah.
was.
And in all these criminal
Yeah.
cases, there's this whole relationship with the media per se, and then it's sometimes they'll leak information. Well, send out information because they want to get something. Other times they're like, no, we can't share this because there's another piece here that hasn't been revealed yet. We don't want to tip people off, right? And so the whole information, the control of information is a whole nother thing that has to happen in a criminal case, especially one that gets this kind of attention. And you know, you got the LDS church square in the middle of this thing. We're in we're in LDS land, right? And all these people that are holding offices are all I mean, I don't know. I would definitely like to see how many people that are in all the different mechanisms that are making decisions on this, plus the whole jury pool. You got an LDS jury pool, right? Versus, I'm assuming that's part of what they're going to be going through. You have, just like in the Capitol, you know, thing that happened in the Capitol insurrection. You know, there was police officers there that were insurrectionists, and then there were police officers that were on duty that were sympathetic towards them. We're finding all this stuff out. This is like the how far down the rabbit hole you go, right? Where there's all these interconnected things. There's this interconnectedness with you know, all of our biases, our opinions, the groups we belong to, right? All affected. That's
a big part of it too. They don't want to release a lot of information to taint any prospective juror. So they're keeping it under the cuffs because they don't want.
It's going to be almost impossible to find. I think you mentioned it.
I said there has to be 12 people that aren't going to haven't made up their mind.
12 people are like living in a trailer in the middle of the
Well,
woods.
if I remember correctly, you and you.
Oh my goodness!
Didn't know.
How dare you accuse me? Who did I know?
You didn't know about Lori and Chad and all that originally.
No.
Now you do, of course.
Now I do. I can't be a juror.
No.
I'm out. Don't call on me.
So there are a couple people that did not know about that case. And I'm sure there's a lot more, you know. If people...
There's probably people out there that still think like Eisenhower is president, you know?
But I have to tell you, if they found a jury for Casey Anthony, they found a jury for O.J. Simpson, you know...
It's not hard to
They'll
believe
find
that they
people
couldn't.
They'll find people, but then that's a really cool thing. And when you go back, like the Aaron Hernandez thing we were watching, and they, you know, how you select a jury, right? And then, I mean, that's all a sort of manipulation of, you know, because even if there's direct evidence, they still got to find a jury, a sympathetic jury, right? One side wants to sympathize with their, right? It's a very complicated thing.
But what I said in the other video, though, once you get in that jury seat, you might say, oh, yeah, and then, oh my God, this is on my conscience. Can I really, if they say beyond a reasonable doubt, and there isn't one, you might second guess it and say, no matter what I thought previously. Well, that's the thing.
What is reasonable
I would have a hard time.
Have you guys ever been on juries?
No.
I have.
I've gotten out of it.
I've been on a jury a couple times. And I mean, this is going to be a sidebar, but I was thinking about it on the way over here because there was, I was in a jury where this man was getting a DUI, but he left his car in the middle of 202, which is a busy highway around here. He just abandoned his car in the middle of a 4-lane highway, just left it there. They found him down the road. Well, and they brought him in, they had him on video, he's drunk out of his mind. He just left the car in the middle of the road with no lights on. It could have, you know, killed somebody. Well, I was on the jury, and he got his grandmother, his poor grandmother, who was very religious and brought the whole religious thing in, to say that she was driving the car.
Oh my gosh.
But here it is. There's no smoking gun. The guy was not actually driving the car when they stopped him. He left it in the middle of the road. He was down the street. He was literally 20 minutes down the street because he walked. And that's how they found him. And so there it is. It's circumstantial, right?
Right. Well, what about the grandmother? Did anybody find her around the corner?
Well, that was the thing. I mean, the way I don't remember every single detail of it. But it was pretty, for me, it was
Reasonable,
damned
yeah.
obvious that he
did it.
did.
Right.
And the woman, the poor grandmother, was carrying on, had a lot of theatrics, very emotional. God, bringing up the Lord and Jesus and all that stuff. And I felt so bad for this woman. Here, this guy, he made bad decisions. He got screwed up, and now this person's going to lie for him.
Well,
So he doesn't
he
get in
should go
trouble.
to jail for getting his grandmother to do that.
right?
We should. Well, in this story, I thought this is going to be
Poor
over
grandma.
quick. I was like, oh, this is going to be over quick. This is my first time I was on the jury. Well, sure enough, there's this one woman. Everybody was like,
Yeah.
done. He did it.
Yeah.
Period. However, it's not. It's circumstantial. Well, we ended up sitting there for hours trying to convince this one lady. It had to be unanimous. This one lady was like, well, maybe he did try it. I'm like, huh? Everybody was like, what? And then in the end, I ended up turning around and being like, I'm glad. I mean, this is like man's life. And just like with this is people's lives.
Right.
Well, these certainly children's lives that got taken away. But these other people and all the other people involved, this is their life. And so, even though it was obvious, everybody wanted to shake this lady because we wanted to go home, and she's just like,
That's the other thing.
and they're like, how can you
Yeah.
how can you not be convinced? It was like
Right.
there was a bunch of other evidence, but they didn't actually catch him in the car, which made it somewhat circumstantial, right?
Yeah.
Which is what you didn't actually see the person. They didn't actually see them murdering we don't have a tape of them murdering the kids, right? We don't have like fingerprints or
We
As
might.
far
murder
as
weapons.
we know.
We might.
Yeah.
We might. I'm
Yeah.
saying we don't now.
Because the poor
Here's
little
where we are now.
the poor little boy that they killed was wrapped up with tape.
Yeah.
I know that was the really cool thing that you were bringing up, and that how they were buried.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing I never even
Yeah.
thought of.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, there could be fingerprints on that tape.
Yeah.
But then we come back to, we don't know all that. So everybody doesn't know anything except
Right.
for the investigators. So once you sit on that jury seat, and you are presented with this kind of stuff,
Right.
Yeah.
if they don't have any fingerprints or anything else, you'd be like, but there's nothing to link them. How can we?
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Once you get in that seat, things change. So
Yeah.
That
Things
unanimous
change,
thing.
but you also don't get to the exaggerations. Like I was just explaining that one. I was on another jury too, but where the first one I'm just talking about, where that woman comes in and just like does all this theatrics and brings up God and everything, and it's like the people, the people watching the news don't get exposed to that.
Yeah.
Only
Right.
we saw that.
Right.
And it does influence you emotionally
Yeah.
and can take you. And in the other jury trial I was in, the same kind of thing where people would just exaggerate. They would bring up these witnesses that had they were on this side, and they would just exaggerate stuff. And for me, I was like, man, that's obvious. That looks like exaggeration, but that doesn't always.
Well, the thing that I
It does.
don't agree with is having to have a jury have a unanimous decision.
Oh yeah, that's difficult.
Well,
That's difficult
we
to
ended
do all
up getting
day
this
at that
lady.
point.
This
Yeah.
lady ended up she ended up going with it, and we were like, thank God. She
Should be
finally
a
did.
majority.
Should be
But
a majority. Yeah.
Yeah.
aren't there trials
Unanimous
though,
is amazing.
that they don't have to be unanimous? They have to be.
everyone I was on this.
I don't know.
I feel
I mean-
like I've heard that there have been juries that, and maybe
That's a whole
it's the
legal
grand
system
jury,
thing.
maybe it's beginning before to bring them to trial. Maybe they don't have to be unanimous.
I don't know. 'cause
I was
know
shocked
that's-
too that it had to be unanimous
Yeah.
because you get one person that's
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
it's
you know,
stupid in a way, or just don't see things.
Right.
It's like
Yeah, because everybody has their
That's
own
a hung
point of
jury.
view.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Because when it's not unanimous, it's an
Okay.
acquittal.
So
It's
maybe
not-
it's a grand jury that you don't have to be unanimous.
Maybe I don't
Yeah,
know.
because that one they don't they just say, yeah, we'll bring them to trial. So maybe that's what.
Yeah.
And that's where it makes sense to me, though, that they're not unveiling this information, whether it's a benefit of the defense or the prosecution of the autopsy, is that I'm reminded over and over as I'm like watching this case, is that it's in the place of the prosecution to the burden of proof and compelling and to prosecute him. And so whether it's for the benefit of the prosecution or for the defense, they don't want to unveil these things. They have to keep them to a certain level because they're still building all these things together. And it could injure one party. And this one little thing, like the gloves with OJ, doesn't fit, and the whole case just goes the other way.
Out. Yeah.
Yeah, the O.J. Simpson one was the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's part of the legal system.
Yeah.
And
So anyway, I just wanted to remind everybody who Tammy Daybell is. We're talking about her autopsy. Tammy Daybell is the deceased wife of Chad Daybell. There is an investigation. Her body was exhumed. The body was exhumed, I believe, back in December.
Or January of last year.
Yeah, and because it was ruled, her death was ruled a natural causes. However, Chad got married 2 weeks after to Lori. So there was suspicion there.
And also, he had a prophetic vision.
Yeah.
His wife was going to die.
Yes, but not that way. She was supposed to die in a car accident. So anyway,
He couldn't run her over.
no.
Mrs. Chance.
We don't like details.
She died in her sleep supposedly, and he had said that she was getting weak, and he begged her to see a doctor, and she refused, and that the night prior to her dying, she was coughing. She was coughing a lot before she went to sleep.
His story has changed, though.
Oh, has it?
Yeah. Then he said the family was around. First, she died quietly in her sleep, and then the family was there. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, that brings up a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, that day she went to work, and the people who saw her noticed that there was, a change in her mood.
Right.
That she was normally a very happy person, always hello to everybody. So there was suspicion over why all of a sudden she was in that frame of mind that particular day. And, she was a librarian in a school, in an elementary school. So she had a lot of interaction with a lot of people who knew her.
And loved her. Everyone said they loved her.
Yeah, exactly. And what a wonderful, happy, sweet person.
Yeah.
And for her to have that turnaround in her personality, everybody was like, what is going on? So something was up. Also, about 2 weeks prior to that, a few weeks prior to that, actually I have October 9th, she returned home from shopping and had her car in the driveway, and all of a sudden someone appeared behind her car with what she said was a paintball gun. They don't know if that was really the case, but whether it was really a paintball gun.
Shot at her, but...
Shot at her and missed.
Yeah.
More than one time.
Or was it jammed or something?
No,
Did it happen?
She said that
Okay, that something came out?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she quickly called Chad, and she was yelling for Chad when that happened, and then this person took off when that happened. So, what else can I tell you about Tammy? And excuse us because we don't have a prompter like a lot of us. So I'm looking at my notes, and at the time that she died, the medical examiner ruled it a natural death and said, and Chad didn't want an autopsy at that time, so no autopsy was performed. And that's why later they had to exhume her body to do that autopsy.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's no conclusions per se.
Well,
There is.
We don't know
We
yet.
don't
We
know.
don't
We
it.
don't know. We don't know
Yeah.
because they're not releasing the findings.
Right.
Right.
So, and that we talked about.
They're
We don't
building
know.
their case. and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still building the.
That's
Or
not.
not.
like-
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know what they're thinking.
Yep.
So we just have to wait. I can't.
But the
stand
statement does say that it is an open investigation. So I believe if there was nothing in that autopsy, they would not have put that in the statement that it is an open investigation because it would have been done.
the investigation.
It was an open investigation
Yeah.
into the death of Tammy Daybell.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So they were just
So
stopped
it's
it
still
after.
open.
Right. And obviously to do that autopsy in the first place, they had to be looking for foul play.
Yeah.
Why else would they do it?
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's been over a year.
Mm-hmm.
We were waiting for that autopsy report to come back.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I
and then
wonder
maybe
if
they've
they'll-
had it.
They think if
Yeah.
they're going to do an autopsy, I would imagine it would be, we just want you to determine the cause of death, not look for foul play. I don't know, but I don't know how that
Well,
works.
that was my speculation.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just wondering
I'm
if
not
they,
sure if they said
if
that.
in
but
the
that's-
profession of that.
Well,
or if
in
they-
light of all of the other things that have happened since then, that's why they did
Yeah,
that.
I mean, you do an autopsy to determine the cause of death. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
I don't know if you look for foul play, but you
Well,
look
they
for
have
the
to
cause
look
of
for a
death.
lot of different things, and
They
not
look for chemical stuff.
yeah, exactly. But
and-
not everything is looked for though. So there are certain things that they have
specify.
to specifically
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
for too,
Yeah.
Right, like
Yeah.
malachite.
which we don't know if that was
And
in the.
and what's interesting is, and I have
request.
to ask you this: malachite was the rings that it was the stones, I guess, in the rings that they bought prior to her death for Chad and Lori.
Oh,
marry.
Isn't that weird?
Now I'm wondering if malachite has any religious significance to the Mormons. If that means anything.
Keith has been looking
Wait, hold on. Let me look it up.
looking up
How do you
the
spell it? No.
teachings.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Malachite? What is that? Is that a type of material?
it's a stone.
Some kind of stone.
Oh, malachite stone?
Yeah,
Now it may not have.
Certainly the
anything
name
religious
sounds very,
yeah.
So, so for them to look for that, they'd have to specify that.
see.
It's not part of a usual
it's actually an
chemical
index.
evaluation
Right.
in an autopsy.
Yeah.
And that could be a poison. So I guess they
Oh,
grind that up.
malachite, they make stuff out of it, plus it's a stone. Plus it's a,
Could be a poison.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it breaks down a certain way, it could be a poison.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I don't have malachite.
So,
I got Malachi.
Oh, could that
He's
be
a-
the same thing?
he's a-
No,
Jewish
no, it's a
prophet.
person.
Oh,
Can't go there. Can't go there.
see what I know.
He
Yeah.
discovered malachite.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times too, what can originally can be labeled as something of a natural cause. Later, it can manifest that way initially, but then later, certain other things come out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anyway.
And then how about Brandon Boudreaux?
Well, we know that Brandon just reached a settlement. He won a case
Mm-hmm.
because the crazy lawyers that Melanie
Pulowski,
Melanie,
his ex-wife.
his ex-wife had, made a statement, a couple statements, that they were slandering him. They
Right.
said things like, he had homosexual relationships,
This is what they talked about in there. Sorry, I have notes
child
specifically.
molestation, drug addiction, kidnapping, assaults,
And even
and-
killings.
right, and his family was involved in organized crime. They made it up.
Right.
And they were asking he sued them because it's ruining his reputation.
Right.
And he's
Yeah.
trying to get custody of his kids.
Well, he has custody right now, but full custody.
Retain
Yeah.
custody of his kids.
Yeah.
Which is how this all started.
Right.
So he sued them for that, and he won a large settlement, which I'm glad.
Yes.
That
Yeah, he
actually
deserves it
happened.
because, especially for lawyers to put that out there,
Yeah,
I mean,
how
they
tough
should
were
be
they?
disbarred for that because
Yeah.
they can't put statements out there like that.
And it was a $12 million settlement.
Correct.
Whether
Yeah.
he'll get all that, I don't know.
Well, a lot of it goes to the lawyers.
Well,
but-
yeah, but
yeah.
you know, by the time it's all said and done, I guess they can't appeal it. I heard they can't really appeal that settlement. I don't know. I don't know, but
Yeah.
Who had to pay the $12 million?
Well, insurance,
they have insurance. They have
who-
malpractice
who's-
insurance.
errors
Oh,
and
so he
omissions
sued
and stuff
the
like
lawyers.
He sued the
Correct.
Oh, he
lawyers.
sued Melanie, his ex-wife's lawyers,
Correct.
because they
Right.
were putting out stuff. Okay.
that. Yeah.
Now, I'm surprised he didn't sue Melanie.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is, Melanie, if I were the lawyers, I would sue her. I mean, they should know better, but to say, yeah, you know this stuff, and we're going to put this out in a release. Why did you tell us this stuff? I guess they can't sue their own client, but who the heck knows?
I think,
It's
you
kind
know,
of like what Lori was accusing of one of the husbands, I forget which
yeah,
one,
Joseph Ryan.
yeah.
of being a
Child
molesting the kids and all that
She
stuff.
kind of made them say that they did.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, I believe that I've heard in a lot of child custody cases, there's a lot of that going on where they accuse each other of things
Right.
that aren't normally that aren't true.
But the lawyers don't put a statement out.
Yeah, they put
Right.
a statement.
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
because of that,
Right? Yeah. He deserves
Because
it.
you want to win.
Yeah.
You know, a person's the devil, and you just,
Right,
well, if I
right.
say a couple little things about him,
I think that's how
ends justify the means.
I think that's how no fault divorce came,
Right.
because they were doing that a lot. Like, you know, he beat me up and
Yeah.
you know, he starved me or whatever. So
Right.
because a lot of that
You
was
had
going
to
on, they
prove-
changed
Yeah.
the
But
laws.
before there was
Yeah.
no fault, you had to prove fault.
Right.
You had to prove that the person was doing something abusive to you.
Exactly.
And then, so it would just be like, well, I'll
Right.
just say he is
Right.
because I want to get divorced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So anyway, that's all I know about Tammy and Brandon. Do you know
Okay.
anything more, anybody?
No? All right, so
Like Joe
that's
Rogan.
our updates for the Vallow case. And leave us comments, thumbs up, subscribe. Let us know if you have any more information than we actually presented. And we're going to do some more videos on this, so stay tuned. And I guess until next time,
Bye.
bye.